Hello everybody and welcome back to another NFL video. Now, I will preface this by saying that while yes, I do have some unavoidable bias as a fan, I will try my best to be objective in this video. For today's matchup, I'll have two NFC North rivals square off, the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. I'm going to go through each position group quickly and break down who is the edge, then draw some overall conclusions at the end with regard to who's better. Without further ado, let's get into it. Quarterback is Jared Goff versus Justin Fields. Goff is coming off an excellent season where he ranked as a top 10 quarterback in essentially every big stat, top 7 in most. He finished with 44-38 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 picks. On the other hand, Justin Fields, who struggled with his arm but had an excellent season on the ground. So let me begin by saying that I recognize that Fields has a ton of potential and upside, and he could definitely be very good. However, the fact of the matter is that he has not proved that he can produce with his arm yet at this point in time. I think Fields absolutely can make that leap. I think he's a very good chance to, but he still has to prove it, and that's not a sure thing. I can see this being a different conversation in a few months, but until Fields proves it's more than potential, I'm going to give it to Goff here. Again, Bears fans might not like it, but based off the NFL games that are in the books, Goff is a better QB for the moment. Edge, Detroit Lions. Running back is a fun group. The Lions have former Bears halfback David Montgomery plus dynamic 12th overall pick, receiving back Jahmyr Gibbs. The Bears on the flip side of Khalil Herbert, who averaged close to 6 yards per carry last year, plus solid veteran Deontay Foreman and rookie Rashawn Johnson, who has some potential. I'm really going to enjoy watching both running back rooms this year, but I like the Lions more as it stands. Herbert is exciting, but Montgomery has proven a lot more, and past those two, I'd say Jahmyr Gibbs offers a lot more than either Foreman or Johnson. I really like the Bears running back room, but the Lions have invested a not insignificant amount into their running backs, so they come out on top here. Edge, Detroit Lions. Wide receivers where things get tougher. Both teams have obvious number ones in Amon-Ra St. Brown and DJ Moore. The waters are much murkier after said players on both sides, though. The Lions have solid players like Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond, who combined for 1,100 yards last year. Detroit also has Jameson Williams, but he still has a lot to prove. Chicago, on the other hand, has Darnell Wright, who did put up 1,000 yards 2 years ago, but wasn't really good last year. Chase Claypool is kind of a wild card. Overall, neither group really jumps out at me any more than the other. They both have some ups and downs, some things that I like and some things that I don't. Edge, neither. Tight end is interesting. Sam Laporta is a guy I like a lot, but Cole Kmet has put up solid numbers. I think Laporta is ultimately going to have a better career than Kmet, but I don't know if he's going to be better in year one. When you combine Kmet's reliability with the fact that Chicago also has former Packers tight end Robert Tonyan now, I'm going to have to give the advantage at tight end to the Bears. Edge, Chicago Bears. Offensive line is less interesting. Chicago has improved their line by adding a solid guard in Nate Davis and a tackle with plenty of potential in Darnell Wright, but let's be realistic here. The Lions have a line packed with Pro Bowlers and veterans, while Chicago's is, for the most part, young and unproven. The Lions have one of the best offensive lines in the league, so the choice is obvious here. Edge, Detroit Lions. Defensive line is next. To name a few names, Chicago is an interesting pair of rookie defensive tackles, plus DeMarcus Walker from the Titans, and that Colts edge rusher whose name I can't pronounce. The Lions, on the other hand, have guys like Aidan Hutchinson, James Houston, John Kaminsky, and Aleem McNeil. Both Chicago and Detroit definitely have plenty of room for improvement, but let's match it up as it stands. If you match up each guy's number one rusher, Aidan Hutchinson beats the former Colts rusher. Past him, both teams' second best players are reasonably close, with DeMarcus Walker versus James Houston, but given that Houston had more sacks in 7 games than Walker did his whole last season, I might give it to him. That said, the fact that Walker can play on the interior and has more career production makes it a pretty close race. Past the top two guys, I do like the Lions' depth a lot more than I do the Bears. Detroit has guys like John Kaminsky, Romeo Okwara, Josh Pascal, and Charles Harris. There are plenty of veterans that have some solid career production. Gervon Dexter, Justin Jones, Zach Pickens, Travis Gibson, and Rasheem Green are interesting, but they're more unproven and have a lot of work to do. Again, there are plenty of ups and downs for both groups, but for now, it is going to go to Detroit. Edge, Detroit Lions. Linebackers. Chicago made a massive investment in their linebacking core, and they definitely got a couple of dogs. Tremaine Edmunds and TJ Edwards are up there with the top duos in the league. I like Anzalone, Rodriguez, and Campbell on the Lions, but the Bears definitely have the upper hand here. Edge, Chicago Bears. Let's start with safeties. Word out of camp has been that CJ Gardner-Johnson is playing safety again, so the Lions safety room is CJ Gardner-Johnson and Kirby Joseph as the starters, versus the Bears' Jaquan Brisker and Eddie Jackson. It's a very close race, to be honest. Both Brisker and Joseph showed a lot to like last year. Gardner Johnson versus Eddie Jackson is close as well. Johnson had an outstanding 2022, but Jackson has stacked years of production and has a Pro Bowl or two, although he hasn't been as good recently. The safety room overall is a tight race. If I had to go one way, I guess I'd say that Gardner Johnson has been better recently than Eddie Jackson, plus Joseph could, you could argue that he had a slightly better season than Brisker, but again, very close race. For now, I'm going to give the Lions a very slight edge, but it could go either way, depending on how this upcoming season plays out. Edge, Detroit Lions, slightly. The cornerback room is also interesting. Cameron Sutton is easily the best corner out of both teams, plus Emmanuel Moseley is probably the second best when he's healthy, although the big problem is that he has a lot of issues with that. Jerry Jacobs would replace Moseley when injured. The Lions' potential nickel corner, rookie Brian Branch, also looks solid, although we'll have to wait and see because, he is a rookie. For the Bears, Kyler Gordon is promising, but he had more than his fair share of trouble this past year. Tyreek Stevenson is a promising rookie, but again, like Branch, we'll have to wait and see how he adjusts for his first year. Jalen Johnson won't blow anyone away, but he's solid. When you compare the groups, I think I'm going to give it to Detroit. Cameron Sutton is leaps and bounds ahead of anyone on either side, which is worth a lot. With regard to the other guys, I feel like the Lions just have more talent overall and more proven talent at that. I can see the Bears having a better room in a year or two with the development of Gordon and Stevenson, but I think the Lions have the slight upper hand for the moment. Edge, Lions. For my conclusions, I'll be answering who I think is a better team right now, but also who I think has the better future. Let me preface this conclusion by asking you to keep in mind that I am just a fan, and at the end of the day, everyone has an opinion, and we just aren't going to agree on everything, and you can't expect us to. The Better Team Right Now award is going to go to the Lions. They're just a more complete team than Chicago is. Detroit still has areas to improve on, sure, but the roster is more filled out and more proven. I do like the direction the Bears are going, but they still have more roster holes than the Lions do at the moment. I'd expect Detroit to have a better 2023. As for who has a better future, I'll call it a tie. Both teams boast a lot of exciting young talent, have general managers who look like they know what they're doing, and appear to be pretty well set up for the future. It should be a fun next few years in the NFC North. With all that said, I think that's going to be the end of today's video. If you're still watching at this point, leave a bear or a lion emoji in the comment section to let me know. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, regardless of who you cheer for, and I'll see everybody next time. Peace out.